AITA for not prioritizing my baby after his birth. When I tell you this woman went to hell to deliver our child, it was apparently an easy delivery, yet it was more gruesome than my worst nightmares. I had read it all but was truly unprepared. So in the heat of the moment, I forgot to look at our baby. It may sound cruel, but I was fine with the nurse telling us that the baby is healthy. The woman I had promised to love and protect was crying, howling, looking like she was fighting death, all because of me. My entire focus was on her and her doctor. My mom asked me how the baby looked when he came out. She apparently wanted to relate back to how I looked. I said I don't know and told her why. Apparently I was in the wrong for that. She told my wife's mother, who echoes the sentiment. Apparently, I got the rare opportunity that most men in their era never did and screwed it up. One of the comments was passed in my wife's earshot while we thought she was asleep. She wasn't, heard it, and started crying over how I don't love our child. That, I don't mind. She's still zonked out on hormones and pain. Luckily she quickly fell asleep and hasn't mentioned it since. Hoping, she didn't register that interaction. But yeah, AITA and a whipped husband who messed it up. Next story. For laughing out loud when my husband told me his friends thinks he's the perfect husband. My husband was all smiles and encouraged when he told me that his friends at church told him they were talking about how he's the perfect husband. I immediately laughed and noticed that he was offended by that. I then started to tell him how I believe he is an amazing husband, and I wouldn't want to be married to anybody else, but I know the good, bad, and ugly, so perfect is not how I would describe you. I could tell he was still not pleased. I told him my reaction was the same way he laughs and thinks. If only you knew when someone tells him that I must be an angel and they can't see me getting upset because he sees me when I'm upset often. I learned that he expected me to be happy for him and think that it's awesome that his friends think so highly of him. Even when I challenged that I know you best as a husband because I'm married to you, he told me his friends know him better because I tell them things I don't tell you. He also shared he didn't think they literally meant perfect in the sense of having 0 flaws, but his interpretation was they thought him to be a high-quality, role model husband. When they gave him the compliment, he simply said thank you and said he wanted to ask them later about why they think that. Next story. AITA for moving out of my parents' house when my brother and his family moved in. There is a whole lot of unnecessary backstory I will leave out. I rented my parents' house after they retired and moved south. I paid slightly below market rate. The plan was for me to save up and eventually buy the house at a great price. They would then give that money to my brother as his part of their estate. My share was the subsidized rent and the very subsidized purchase agreement. Everyone thought this was fair. Until my brother's wife started running up debts they couldn't cover. This led to them losing their home and needing help. I love my brother and my nephews, so when my mom asked me if they could move in, I talked to my husband and we agreed. We are in the process of adopting 2 siblings, but we are still not there. It was only going to be temporary, so why not? Half off the rent for a few months would totally help us with the down payment and expenses. They moved in February. When March rolled around, I transferred half my usual rent to my parents. My mom called to ask me where the rest was. I said I assumed that Brad was paying the other half.